All right, so in the last couple of videos, we've been talking about how to graph equations, and hopefully you're getting very comfortable with using this equation of y is equal to mx plus b. However, they're not always going to give us the information we want, right? In order to use this equation, I have to know what m is, but they may not give that information to you directly in the question. So there's different ways of figuring out what the slope is. In one of the other videos we talked about, you could, if you have the graph, you could count spaces and do like the rise over the run, count those spaces to get the slope. A more mathematical way to find the slope is there's actually a slope formula, okay? And the formula you've probably seen before, but it looks like this. M is equal to, uh, m, y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So essentially we're taking y values, subtracting them, and putting it over x values, subtracting them. And remember these points, these x1s and y1s, they always come from coordinates, right? So x1, or sorry, we'll just label it as x comma y, okay? So in order to do this kind of question, they have to give you 2 points, right? Notice there's x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. So they have to give you 2 points, then we could label them x1, y1, and then the second point we would just label x2, y2. Okay, so we can use the slope formula if they give us 2 points. Okay, so for example, let's say a question says find the slope between and they give you the points 0 comma negative 3 and 4 comma 3. The first thing you're going to want to do to be able to answer this question is I highly recommend that you label your points. It just makes keeping track of the variables so much easier. It doesn't even matter which one you label as which. So just label one of them has to be x1, y1. So let's say we call the first one x1, y1. Then the second one we're just going to call x2, y2. Okay, it's just gonna make the calculations a lot easier if you label it. That way we can see exactly where it's going. Okay, so remember the formula is y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. The second thing you want to be careful of is that those minus signs can very easily mess things up. So another recommendation I make is set up your fraction ahead of time, put your minus signs in the middle, then you only have to plug in the numbers as they are. Okay, so on the first one, the top of your fraction, it wants y1 minus y2. Okay, so we've already labeled it, so we just got to fill in the blanks. So y1 coming over here is negative 3, so I'm going to put a negative 3 in there. And then y2 is a positive 3, so I'm going to put a positive 3 in there. Okay, the reason why this can get a little bit confusing is because there will be occasions where you get like double negatives, which you'll see I think in the next example. And then on the bottom, x1 we know is 0. We'll put a 0 in there. And then x2 we know is 4. So we'll put a 4 in there. And then we just have to do that math. And then if you can simplify the fraction, you need to do that as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and simplify. So on the top, you have negative 3 minus 3. You spend $3 and you spend another $3. So you spent $6. On the bottom is 0, so you have nothing, and then you spend $4. So you owe somebody $4. Now this fraction reduces, so you do need to do that as well. Okay, the negatives will cancel each other out. Okay, and 6 over 4 can be reduced by 2. So you can divide both out by 2, and we get 3 over 2. Okay, that's our simplest form of our slope. So again, if your fraction reduces, you have to do so. Okay. So again, the tip I suggest for these slope questions is set up your fraction ahead of time with those minus signs in the middle. Then all you have to do is plug in the numbers and then you're set. Okay, let's try one more together and then I'll let you try one on your own. Okay, so let's say it's the same style of question. I want to know the slope between, let's go with -3, 2 and 1, -1. All right. First thing, again, I would highly recommend, label it. It's so easy just to label it ahead of time, and it's going to save you a lot of mistakes later. Okay, so this one will be x1, y1, and the second one will be x2, y2. Technically, it doesn't matter which one you labeled as x1, y1, and x2, y2. I could have easily labeled the 1, -1 as x1, y1. Doesn't really make a difference, but make sure you label it so you don't make mistakes. Okay, and then again, I suggest set up that fraction ahead of time. Put those minus signs in the middle. Remember, the formula is y1 minus y2 on top, and x1 minus x2 down below. Then all you have to do is plug in the values, and you're done. We'll simplify, and then you're done. Okay, so the y values are on top. I'm going to color code it a little bit differently this time. So our y values are 2 and -1. So watch how I'm going to write it. So the first one is 2, that's labeled as y1. And then the second value is -1. So we'll put a -1 in there. So this is that scenario I was talking about where you have a double negative. We'll get that in a second. And then for the x's, okay, x1 is -3, and then x2 is 1. Okay, simplify, and then we're done. Okay, so now when you have double negatives like this, remember 2 negatives make positive. So on the top of the fraction, it's really saying 2 plus 1. So we get 3. On the bottom, -3 minus 1. You're spending $3, and then you spend another $1. So in total, you spent $4. Okay. Now this fraction does not reduce. It looks a little bit strange the way it's written. So if you wanted to, you could rewrite it with the negative in the middle. It doesn't really matter too much, and that would be your slope. Okay. So just don't forget, draw the fraction ahead of time, and along with those minus signs. That way you don't lose out on any kind of like double negative situations. Okay. All right. I want you to try one on your own. Okay. So find the slope. Oops. Find the slope between and let's go with 5, 4 and -1, 3. All right. Again, go ahead and pause the video. Try it out on your own. Again, don't be afraid to make mistakes. And then once you're ready to check your answer, go ahead and press play.